welcome to the Damian and Devlin show, and this is our review of Dead Snow, a 2009 Norwegian film directed by Tommy Wirkola and starring Charlotte Frogner, Stig Freud Hendrickson, and Vigar Hole. And if I offended any of those actors, I don't think they've ever made any movies here in North America.
I'm surprised you managed to remember those
names.
I
know. Well, it takes a lot. But anyhow, I have seen this movie a few times. For those of you who don't know what Dead Snow is, it's a cult movie that was released, as I said, in 2009, and it's about a bunch of kind of campers that go up to a mountain resort and find themselves being attacked by not only zombies, but Nazi zombies. And that's not really a spoiler because that's how they promote this film. And I've always talked about how I wanted to show young Damian here some really good cult films that are kind of really out of their bug nuts. I've been playing it safe, but now that we're starting a new season, I decided I'm going to hit him with a really great one since the snow's been all over the place. And I thought this was a great, fun one. I had no clue what his reaction would be, and I still really don't, because he's been quiet ever since we finished watching this. So, Damian, welcome, and what did you think? Your first initial feelings on Dead Snow.
Good Lord. Those are my initial feelings. Good Lord. I have my hat on, I've got my sweater on, I was bundled up. It's cold outside. We're watching a movie about snow, and I thought, okay, it's going to be a horror movie. It's going to be like run-of-the-mill, like people start getting wiped out one by one. And you know what? It started off well enough. It started off like a typical horror movie, and I was like, okay, cool. I can get into this.
Yeah, it had all the beats. So the regular followed the rules.
Had all the beats, yeah. I was like, this is cool. I can get into this. And then suddenly, about maybe like halfway through the movie, is just what goes on. It's just it changes everything. Like, instead of just having a horror movie, not only do you get the horror movie, but then you get like this bucket load of gore for no apparent reason. I feel like anybody that might have a gore fetish would love this movie, because holy crap, they just kind of threw it on you.
Yeah, I didn't kind of tell you that there was a lot of gore in this.
Like, I'm not bothered.
Creative gore.
Oh, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. Well, I know you enjoy World War II movies, and this had like the Nazi aspect, and then we also throw in, like, I know you like the gore. So.
I don't like gore I'm not a gore fiend.
I know.
That's the thing.
I know.
I like a good horror movie every once in a while, but this show just... Like, you heard me throughout the movie. I was like, what the heck is going on here?
And I love showing him movies like this, because he told me he wanted to be challenged. So not only am I going to challenge him with older black and white films and stuff, I'm going to challenge him with these cult movies, which I actually really like. A little quick background on the movie. It was obviously made in Norway, so this makes it our first foreign film. Subtitles all the way through it, but... yeah, and what happened is this movie is not loved in Norway. It got really bad reviews. But when it came over to North America, it got a cult following, and it's actually, from horror fans, it's actually considered to be a fun horror movie that actually has some really well-filmed sequences in it. So, that's some background on it. Now let's give your positives of this film.
Well, I mean, it builds somewhat okay, in my opinion. Like I said, the beginning of the movie hits all the right beats with a horror movie. That's what I thought it was just going to be, your stereotypical run-of-the-mill with an added Nazi zombie twist in there. But
enough movies don't say that.
So I would say, like, my positive is the build-up to a certain point. I do like the fact that you don't get to really see the Nazi zombies all too well at the beginning of the movie. Like, they're there. They start taking people out one by one. But you don't see them. Like, you see glimpses of them, and they're always in the dark.
Imagine how amazing it would be if you didn't know they were Nazi zombies, and then the reveal when they're actually wearing, like, Nazi uniforms. How awesome that would be. You'd be like you were that anyhow, so.
That was me. So I like that build-up there. I like the suspense of it. There was one scene with an older dude that comes into the cabin at the very beginning of the movie, and he kind of like explains the backdrop at like mysterious things happening in these mountains. And I thought that whole scene, because it's just a close-up of his face and he's smoking like a cigarette.
And you're reading subtitles.
You're reading
too,
subtitles.
but you're still feeling the...
I thought that was really neat. Like, just the way that they filmed it, I was I wanted to know more. I was like, oh, what does this guy have to say? He's really good in foreboding and whatnot. And I would have to say that's about it.
You like some of the soundtrack, the
Okay,
Norwegian rock songs.
There was some music back there. Like, I didn't understand the word that they were saying, but I liked some of the music. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Thank you for that. The soundtrack was pretty decent. I'll give it that too. But that's about it.
All right. I will praise this movie for a lot more. I thought the director, Tommy Wirkola, I actually thought he did some great things. Visually, I don't know, I believe this might have been one of his first films. I'm not up on my Norwegian movies, but I think he did some wonderful little moves. Now, some of it, albeit, is borrowed from classic horror movies, but other stuff he manages to get on his own, and I actually think it's quite good. I like the fact that writing-wise, like, I'm not afraid of foreign films. I actually forget. For a moment, I'll be honest, when I hear, a foreign film, I'm like, we're reading. But if it's really good, I forget about that, and I just forget that I'm even reading. So I wasn't bothered by that, except for, well, that's more of the negatives. But what I liked about this movie is that it starts off using pretty much every stereotypical thing you'd expect in a horror film. You got like the group of kids that are going away to have fun and sex and party. Then you also have like, the build-up. Even the old man who warns them. That's usually in every scene. It usually happens, though, when they go to a gas station or something.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so they use all these stereotypical tropes. Even the separating them one at a time so they can slowly get knocked off. But then there comes a point where Damian started going, what the hell? I was starting to go, oh my God, they've now just turned everything on its head and now not following the rules anymore, and then just going crazy and not being afraid of taking chances. So I give it to that. I guess the actors were pretty good, though I couldn't tell you one from the other. I'd have to I couldn't say this actor's name was this person.
Yeah.
But there's a real badass guy in here, and if I knew his name, I'd give him credentials. I love this character, even though he's so over the top, He just goes through so much stuff, and it's just awesome. And so I thought he was pretty good. And as far as Norwegian acting goes, it was a horror movie. I guess it was pretty good. There is a lot of gore. I think a lot of it is well filmed. It reminds me of a student film. Like sometimes you see, like if you ever watch Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings, he did some early horror films, like a great movie called Bad Taste. Well, you wouldn't think it was great. But they do that kind of college, university horror thing that looks like they concentrate on that. And I like the feel that you get with the gore. It kind of looks like, hey, why don't we come up with something that looks really gross, and we probably won't pay you for it, but you'll get your name in the movies. And that's what it felt like. And the gore just got escalated. And that's my positives of this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something.
And I like the Nazis. I think the Nazis looked pretty
Careful,
awesome.
somebody just quoted you.
What?
Saying that.
What? No,
I like the Nazis.
Okay, let's. You're right. I like the Nazi zombies in this film because they, again, they don't follow a zombie prototype. They act like Nazis. They just happen to be dead. And I like that. They run fast. They think. You lost it when the guy used binoculars. I think a zombie using binoculars is right there a star. That's a point right there because his reaction, So there you go. That's my positives.
Tactical, apparently, when they're taking these kids out.
They're still doing their job.
Oh my god!
Right to past the end. All right, hit me with your negatives. You might be a bit.
This movie, honestly, I felt the gore was a little bit too much. I said to him at one point, I was like, you can't be afraid of gore watching this movie. You can't. They just throw it at you with an abundance. It literally ramps up from 0 to 100 in no time. And it's outrageous.
And there was a moment in this that, minor spoiler, but I thought the most thing you'd be offended at was the outhouse sex.
There's a scene There's a scene, randomly, one guy, he loudly proclaims that he's got to go take a crap in the outhouse, goes out there. We then cut to this girl who constantly keeps looking at the door, like biting her lip as if she's turned on by that thought. Then we see him finishing, he's wiping his ass. And this girl comes out and starts having sex with him while he's still on the outhouse.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Naughty. It's naughty.
It's disgusting is what it is. And he hasn't even washed his hands.
There's no sink. It's an outhouse.
She hasn't even washed his hands, and he's like, no. And she puts his fingers in her mouth. Like, it's the most disgusting, depraved thing I've ever seen in my life.
Until he watched later in the movie.
Until I saw
the mountain
later
sequence,
in the movie.
I think,
Good
was...
Lord.
Yeah.
Like I said, the gore is just so over the top. And I thought it was going to be okay to begin with, but then it just got wacky and wild. I literally thought I was watching a freaking splatter film that just took it to the extreme for no reason. There's amputations, there's guts, there's heads being ripped apart. Oh, just...
Intestines. Lots of intestines.
Like I said, this movie, it doesn't bother me with the gore. Gore does not bother me, but I could see for a fact that somebody that's very squeamish.
Yeah, you don't want to be watching this.
You don't want to be watching this movie.
Yeah.
Don't watch this movie.
But watch this review, because it's fun.
So on top of that, also, like you said, I didn't care about any of the characters. The one badass guy, I'll give him that. Like, he was cool. I liked him. Honestly, like, I could not have cared less if any of them survived. I had no attachment to any of these characters. I did like some of the visuals were really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, the red blood on the snow, like, it's stark and it's contrasting, and I liked it.
They did it before Last Jedi. They had the red with the white.
We'll get to that eventually, I'm sure. I'm
just saying, they did that, but Dead Snow was doing it way before that. Lots of blood.
I just couldn't get over how wacky this movie got. Like, it started off like it took itself seriously, and then I just felt like I was watching a Looney Tunes movie at the end of it. Everything was crazy. Everybody was going nuts. The zombies, like, sure, I'll give them a little bit of props for the fact that they didn't fit the zombie mold. And I do agree with you that fast zombies are scarier than the typical George Romero or Walking Dead shambling, slow zombies. Fast zombies are terrifying.
Well, they were scary in the 1950s, but I think when you're in the snow, it would just look ridiculous. Them like,
well, they'd be frozen. They couldn't move.
No, that's some great visuals. Us doing that. I hope people know we're talking about zombies. Okay.
But the one thing I found ridiculous about the zombies is you're literally having characters having fist fights.
Yeah, zombies fist fight. You didn't like that?
What? There's a point where a character bites the zombie. Like, they know about zombies in this movie. Like, there's a character that's a movie buff, and he talks about zombies. But nobody seems to be concerned about the fact of biting corpses.
But they weren't sure if it was mystical or if it was plague.
I don't care what it is.
I know what it was because I've seen this movie enough. I read the notes. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. They took chances.
Another thing is that how did they come to be? How did these Nazi zombies come to be? All we hear from the old man is that the Nazis were driven out and ran into the hills. And then 100 years later, or 60 years later, they're zombies?
They died. They died of frostbite.
That's amazing.
And then survived because they became zombies.
That makes no sense.
It's mystical. I'm telling you. It's mystical. It's not a plague.
So are you telling me that everybody that died in this movie is going to come back as a zombie?
No, because it's mystical.
That makes no sense to me.
It's mystical. It's mystical zombies. It's not a contagion. So once they eliminate the zombies, it's done.
Makes no sense to me.
That's why they can survive without eating, because it's mystical. Anyhow, are you done with your negatives?
And then the binoculars.
You love the binoculars.
Binoculars. A zombie is using binoculars.
Well, eyesight might not be that great.
Yeah, he's got cataracts because he's been dead.
Look at how much fun you're enjoying talking about this movie.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I think he's done now. I'm sure he'll interrupt me when he thinks of more things that he's going to dream about tonight. First of all, I want to say, bless your heart, Damian. I love that I show him a movie about Nazi zombies, and he's expecting it's going to stay fairly realistic. So the cartoonishness, you should have known it was got to be coming at some point.
No.
You just didn't know how bad it was going to get. I agree with you. The characters, what I liked about it is that they established the characters in one car drive. They basically say, well, there's one girl that's going to meet us there. That's her boyfriend. There's a guy who likes movies. And then within 10 minutes, we figure out who everybody is. I love that. And that's all they are. We really don't know. I guess this is more of a positive, but I like that the least attracted of them is the one that actually got the sex. Like, this girl just wanted him so bad, she couldn't even wait. I wasn't bothered. I've seen a lot of things, so outhouse sex does not scare me. Now I'm going to have to worry about some of the movies I show him in the future. But, yeah, there was some issues. There's plot holes all over the place. Like, people running faster, even though the zombies run fast. There's two people that say they're going to stay together. And then, I don't want to give anything away, but they wind up separating accidentally. But when you see how far the one has run away from the other, it's like, they're running faster than the zombies. So if you really sit there and analyze everything, which this man likes to do, where I can just sit back and say, oh my God, did you see the scene on the edge of the mountain with the intestines? I won't say any more. I don't want to ruin that scene for you, because I know you're all going to go and check this one out. Besides that, I actually liked it, so I don't have as many negatives as Damian, but you might want to listen to him more on this one. And you're not going to hear me say that. If you like cult movies, if you like movies that'll make you go, like he's been shaking his head for the last 10 minutes after we saw this. So if you like your movies a little more mainstream, I'm going to actually tell you that you might want to be on Team Damian for this one. But if you like taking a chance and don't mind being a little squeamish and having a good laugh, then you're definitely Team Devlin on this one. But I'm actually giving you this one because this is not for everyone.
No, it definitely not. I wish it wasn't for me. But I'll give it. It's entertaining. I'll give it that. It is a little entertaining. I was laughing. I was laughing ridiculously at times because it was so outrageous. So I'll give it that.
I'm trying to teach him that if he gets enjoyment out of a movie any way you possibly can, it's a good thing. But we're working on that. So I'm glad you admitted that at least. So we're down to the numbers game.
The numbers game, I cannot give this anything more than a 2.5. I can't.
2.5? That's good. That's almost 50-50.
You know, I give it 2.5. Like, that's as much as it gets because it's an original premise. It actually did take me for a little bit of a swerve. I didn't expect the characters to survive that did survive. I thought it was going to be completely different. So I'll give it that. Like I said, it was pretty entertaining. I was laughing at times, but other than that, it's just way too ridiculous in every aspect.
On your scale, 2.5 is huge.
2.5, that's all I can give it.
Well, I'm going to go a little higher, 3.5. I really like this movie. I'm not saying it's brilliant. I think this is one of those ones that you should get a bunch of your friends that like this kind of stuff, put it on, and just laugh and enjoy it for what it is. So 3.5 from me. Anyhow, that is our review of Dead Snow. I promise I'm not going to be popping these all the time in. I just like to do some variety. So we'll see some regular stuff along the way too. I just want to show him the odd cult film and show you guys that cult films are something we should adore. Anyhow, I had a great time with this review and watching the movie with you, and thank you for watching this. And
as always, we're back. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for waiting for us. We definitely did miss you guys. Make sure you comment. Let us know what you want to see. We're planning something really special for you guys coming up in the near future, so keep your eyes peeled for that. As well, subscribe and share it. Let everybody know that we are back and we are better than ever. We cannot wait to continue this journey with you, so stay tuned and we'll see you real soon.
It's always good to see the sun beach.